Hi, I'm Sam Magnuson from the Knox College Sports Information Department, and I'm here at the Knox College pool this afternoon with Coach Jonathan Powers to talk about this season's swimming preview. Coach Powers, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Well, thanks, Sam.
To begin with, this is your first season as the coach of the Knox College Prairie Fire swim team. You have coached the Knox College water polo team for 8 years, but this is your first year with the swim team. How excited are you about the upcoming season, and what are your team expectations for this year?
I'm really excited. I mean, I hadn't expected to be as excited as I am, and so last night I was kind of planning out our lineup for the first meet tomorrow, and it was fun thinking about how to position people to give us the best opportunity to be successful and to see where we measure up against Monmouth. So definitely really excited and kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, and is it different than, the experience you've had with water polo, being, organized a team than a Knox College team instead of a club team?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, because a club team, I think it's a much more relaxed atmosphere, and the club team really is student-run totally. I like to joke that my role as coach is to yell at them, and they don't listen to me anyway. So there. But here, as a varsity sport, there certainly is. It's a lot more serious. And then swimming is a bit different than water polo, because I mean, swimming, you're going back and forth, and that's demanding. So I've got to give them workouts, design workouts to make sure that they're successful. Whereas water polo, I mean, we do a little bit of swimming, but then they're playing water polo, and it's a little bit, obviously, a lot
much different.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, what has the mood at practice been so far this year? Obviously, with a new coach. Do the men and the women so far, do they seem excited to have you as their head coach? Have you noticed any change in the way practices have run, or what have you taken away from practice so far?
Well, so I can't say if the changes or anything like that. I mean, the thing that I've been really impressed with is how hard everyone's working. I mean, we've got some really strong swimmers, and they work incredibly hard, and that feeds, and I think the whole team feeds off of that too. And we also have some swimmers who don't come from a competitive swimming background,
right.
And they're working so hard too. We've got a lot of depth. And we've got 3 exceptional swimmers in Bess Cooley, Tori Kassenbob, and Emily Perrott, who are going to do very well. But then we've got, the sophomore class is deep and it's good, and so many of them will contribute. On the men's side, it's a little hard to say because actually I've got 3 men who are 2-sport athletes.
Okay.
So I've got a football player, a cross-country runner, and a soccer, and I actually haven't seen them in the water yet.
Okay.
So we're
it's tough to gauge.
Tough to gauge, and admittedly, I mean, on the men's side. On the men's side, my expectations are more individually oriented, where I want Tyler O'Neill. I want him to. I can see him. I'd like to see him top 3 in some events in conference. On the women's side is where I have some team expectations. I'm not sure what they are yet.
Okay.
Last year, the women's team finished 8th in the conference out of 10, a little bit out of 7th. I see us doing much better, but the meet on Monmouth on Friday will be a kind of real gauge in terms of how we can, what our expectations are for the conference as a whole. The season really revolves around the conference meet, which is in mid-February.
Right.
And I think if we find out we're competitive with Monmouth on Friday, we can think about setting a goal of being in the top half in the conference.
So you're looking more from a team perspective for the women, and a little more individual on the guys' side because it's such a small roster.
Yeah. Well, I think swimming is an interesting sport. So I also I have a lot of individual expectations. So on the one hand, when I talk to the team about the overall goals that I have for the team this year, one is I want us to have fun.
Right.
Swimming is not necessarily the funnest thing to do. To go back and forth staring at a black line for an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But again, the team chemistry is great, so I think that everyone's having fun, or as much fun as they can, and that's great. As a professor, I have goals for the team to be smart. I'd like to see a lot of members make the all-academic conference team at the end of the year. But then individually, I want to see them improve throughout the year.
Yeah.
And if I see people improving their times, if I see them getting better, I'll feel successful regardless of where we finish in the conference.
Okay. You mentioned, you said as a professor. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. You've been an economics professor here at Knox College since 2000, but this is your first year as the swim coach. Just talk a little bit about kind of how you're balancing, being a professor in the classroom and then coming out here at 4 o'clock, I'm assuming, or around that time each day, and having swim practice, and kind of what challenges and what do you think is positive about being able to, be a coach and a professor at the same time?
One of the things, I have in Knox, swimming traditionally has had really talented student athletes, and students first, athletes second. And if you talk to Bess Cooley, she's here for the creative writing program first, and the fact that she gets to swim is a plus. And so those are kind of the student athletes that I want to have here. And I think as a professor who's also a coach, that hopefully I'm able to attract them.
It's kind of like you're walking the walk yourself, because you're in the classroom and then you're here in the afternoon.
Yeah, and so I have an appreciation for the demands that's going to be on their time. And admittedly, I'm not sure I should admit this, but I'm probably going to be more apt to allow them to miss practice for labs than some other coaches will, because I understand that. It's certainly been interesting for me in terms of, when I talk to my first-year advisees, I say the most important thing that you got to learn here in the first year is how to balance your time. For me, it's become a challenge taking this on. Where you've taken some classes from me, so I'm never fast in terms of turning exams. Maybe I'm a little slower now in returning back exams and papers, but then on the coaching side, it's fun to be able to write workouts to come here. It's a nice release from the classroom in many respects. And then as a coach, you get to see another side of the students, and so that can be valuable. And I think these activities complement one another. In that, working with swimmers, I think I'm going to become a better professor and a better advisor, at least I hope.
Okay, great. So tomorrow is the first dual meet of the season at Monmouth. I wish you the best of luck. And as you mentioned, what happens tomorrow will kind of help you gauge better of where you're going to go throughout the season. And I wish you the best of luck. And once again, thank you so much for joining me.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
That is the Knox College swimming preview here at the Knox College pool with Coach Jonathan Powers.